Well, good morning, everybody. It's Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead to do porch time today. Guys, this is a Sunday morning here. It's in the 30s out here this morning, and we're under a small craft advisory here on the Gulf Coast area of Mississippi. We're looking at, they got us under gale force winds, and the wind right now is gusting 25, sometimes 30 miles an hour. And when you're in the 30s for the temperature, it makes it, it's basically, we're on the highest peak in this part of the country around here. And the wind seems to hit us pretty hard when this kind of stuff happens. And the sun's out for the first time. I'm actually sitting here in the sun where it's warm at, trying to block the wind away from the camera. You can probably see the flag in the background back there blowing. But guys, we're glad to see the sun. It has been cloudy, rainy for just days on end. And today there's not a chemtrail. I mean, it's just crystal clear blue skies, but the wind's blowing, and it's cold out here. And I'm sitting right here trying to stay warm while I'm doing porch time this morning. I started to go inside, but I was like, yeah, I said, the sun, I haven't seen the sun in so many days. I said, I just want to be in the sun, even though the wind's blowing. But we've been working, over at Pecan Grove. We've got that, we're over there 12 to 16 hours every day. We got track hose and dozers and everything clearing, and I have to be there constantly with these people because they, to make sure they don't destroy this or that. But we're getting things done over there. I do have some things. I bought some extra grapevines this morning. We went early this morning. This is Sunday morning. Give you a date. It's the 12th. We went right after daylight. We went to Walmart to do the prepping run, or the replenishing run, should I say? And man, the prices of stuff, guys, was just it was bad. I'm like, I don't know how people buy groceries at stores. We had to do it, and we got things like, you'll see it. You've probably seen it in the video, the things that we bought, but hardly anything for eating. Mostly was just other objects. But around the homestead here, everything is greening up. It's starting to turn green. We were in the morning, which will be Monday morning. We're supposed to be down to freezing again. We'll probably have a hard frost because it says that the wind will be almost like 0 mile an hour to 1 mile an hour, which means we'll have a frost. So we really can't get out and do much gardening. Over at Pecan Grove, we did plant a few things over there. Our potatoes are up beautiful over there. They just look fantastic. Just trying to think, keep y'all up to date on some of the things that's going on. I mean, the weather's been so nasty till we just can't get out and do anything. I'm sitting here, guys, watching the birds within 10 feet of me. There's like 50 of them right here around me. And it just catches my attention. I'm sitting here watching them. The huckleberry trees are all bloomed out, and they're sitting on the limbs, and these birds are hopping all over the ground here around me. It's just nature at its finest. It's cold, and they're pecking in this little tiny rocks on the ground here looking for something. I guess where the acorns, where we've run over them and they've been crushed up with the ranger, they're eating the little pieces of them, looks like. Seen some squirrels here a while ago. All the wildlife is out this morning in full force. But I just want to take time this morning, guys. I want to talk about grid down. The grid, when the grid goes down. And I don't spend a lot of time talking about this stuff. I have in the past, and I don't believe in beating dead horses. We've talked about it and talked about things that could happen, but if you remember, I told you you're going to start seeing things in the skies. You're going to start seeing things that you've never seen before, or not necessarily never seen before, but you don't hardly ever see, like this balloon issue going on, and how that they're taking them down, and there's this big scare now. We're going to be EMP'd, and there's the probability of that's pretty high. Because of the simple fact, I'm really more worried about a coronal mass ejection than I am an EMP. I'm just being honest. I believe that the coronal mass may get us before an EMP does. But, you know, you stop and you think about an EMP, if something like, or a coronal mass ejection happens. We just had what was the last thing I was told? We just had an X flare. Well, first of all, a piece of the sun came off and just blew out into space, and then we had a Class X flare just Saturday, I believe it was, Class X 1.1 or something like that. And guys, all it's going to take is for this to be Earth facing at the right, just at the right position to do a kill shot on us. And if that happens, and we have a grid down situation, I mean, I have lots of subscribers that work at these big giant power plants, and they send me information talking about how that if something like that happened, some of them said, you know, some of our bigger transformers come from China. One of them sent me some stuff talking about some of them come from Germany, and there is like a 2-year waiting period to get them here. And let's just be honest about this. If this happened, then China or Germany is not going to be manufacturing anything for us. I mean, let's just be honest about it. They're going to be more interested in taking care of their own selves at the time. And what does it mean if the grid goes down? I mean, have y'all read 1 Second After? I mean, used to when I taught survival, this is one of the books that I would tell my people to read. That and a book called The Patriot. The Patriot actually updates itself. The 1 Second After, it's just it's just a story. But The Patriot actually has new series coming out, and it updates itself on a regular basis. Ooh, that sun's getting, it feels good, but it's getting warm. But, you know, I've been doing a good bit of thinking. I mean, Wanda have about this. You know, if a grid goes down, I told her, I said, Wanda, you know, you and me both. I mean, Wanda and I, we talk about these scenarios all the time about who's going to pass away, who's going to live. I mean, first of all, if we have a grid down situation, especially an EMP or a coronal mass ejection, the planes flying in the sky that's not hardwired for it, which most aren't, but the military predominantly mostly is now, but they're just going to fall out of the sky. And it doesn't matter how much prepping you do or what kind of facility you have, if your house just happens to be in the path of an airplane that just falls out of the sky, and then everybody else is going to die. I mean, so you got all those people that's going to die because there's going to be no way to control anything. It's just going to do a nosedive to the ground. And you stop and think, we have, over 200 planes every hour in the air over the United States. So you've got all those planes, if they're not hardwired, it's just going to hit the ground. And then wherever they hit is going to be massive fires. And not to mention, if they hit in an apartment complex, or if they hit in a subdivision, if they hit people's house or big department stores in cities, you know, wherever, you know, then you got all those people that's going to be killed. And then you got to think about the fact that people that's on life support, you know, they'll pass away. People that are dependent upon some sort of electrical device to keep them alive. People have to have oxygen. People have to have dialysis, all this kind of stuff. You know, I mean, I'm just being realistic today, guys, because we're there now. It's not talking about what might happen in the future and what we will do. We're there. I mean, it's time to start talking about the real things now. You know, people on dialysis are not going to make it. I mean, you got people that, I'm trying to think of some of the things we talked about in some of our classes. People who take insulin, they have no way to keep it cool because the refrigeration's gone down, and, you know, not every one of them will pass away, but a lot of them will. And people who are dependent upon specific medications, they'll pass away. People that are on anti-anxiety medication and they can't get it. This is where the term zombie's going to play into fact, that people are going to go wild and mad and because they can't get their medication. And so, and the United States is really a soft country. We're a soft country because we've lived in luxury for years. I mean, since the World Wars, we've all lived in luxury, and even before then, in the Roaring '20s, we were living in luxuries. And you got to stop and think. We know nothing about the kind of life that people in other countries live, where they face, like Ukraine right now. You know, I mean, those people, the cities are being bombed. I mean, you take your own life in your hands if you just leave the house, and then there's no guarantee that some group of soldiers is not going to just come through your place and just wipe it off the map just because they can. You know, that happened in the World Wars with Germany. Germany, under Hitler, walked through places, and I know one lady was telling me a story about her grandfather or great-grandfather was out in the field with his 2 cows, and he wasn't harming anybody. He was just raising some crops, and they drove by, and just for fun, they just shot him. You know, shot him in the legs first, and then as he fell down, then they just finished shooting him up. I mean, just for the fun of it. He wasn't hurting anybody. He was just out in a field plowing with some 2 cows or steers. And I mean, these are the kind of things that happens in war. And there's no guarantees as to who will pass away and who will live. God always leaves a remnant, or allows a remnant to be left, and you know, it's where the term "only the strong survive." I mean, this is where this comes in at. And you know, I don't care how much prepping you've done. I've told you guys before, literally, it's not about how much you've prepped. It's about prepping for your life eternally, where you're going to end up at if something happens to you, because the probabilities will be pretty high. We're told in the book of Revelation that 2/3 of the Earth's population is going to pass away before anything massive even happens here. So we've got that to contend with, and will we be part of that 2/3? We don't know. And I keep telling y'all, build your faith. Build your faith. You're going. Remember, I told you you're going to see things in the skies, in the heavens, things that you're going to question. Then we talked about there's going to be all these distractions. And guys, while we're off chasing balloons with Raptor 22s, using $100,000 missiles to shoot down a balloon that cost a fraction of that. You know, I mean, where's the wisdom in any of this? You know, I mean, we're making some very poor decisions in this country, and it's the earthquake that happened over in Turkey and Syria. Guys, this wasn't a normal earthquake. This earthquake worked off of frequencies. Normally you have the whole earth just trembling and everything just falls crazy and, you know, sloshing back and forth and all this kind of stuff. This was a different type of earthquake that happened over there. This one worked on a total different frequency than other earthquakes worked on. If you notice the buildings when they fell like they had been imploded from the inside out. They literally fell straight down on top of one another. They didn't rock and back and forth like this. They just literally just collapsed and fell because of the vibration of the earth. I think this thing, it done a fracture like 190 miles long, or it was 90 or 190, something like that. I've got so much information in my head here lately. Things are happening so fast, it's hard to keep up with everything if I don't actually have a paper in front of me where I've jotted this stuff down. I mean, guys, we're experiencing things, and we've got another massive time frame coming up. February the 18th through about the 21st or 22nd. They're expecting another massive event to take place. Don't know where it's at in the world, just know it's going to happen. Something's going to happen because of what's going on in the solar system out there. And there is no safe, because of these types of earthquakes, there is no safe structures. That's the thing that's being said. Everybody goes, well, my place is, I live in a wood framed house, and you know, according to what I'm able to find out, there is no safe structure for the kind of stuff we're going to start experiencing. And then we've got the simple fact, when you have a coronal mass ejection or the new EMPs, you know, most homes are going to burn because the wiring in the house can't handle the heat, and it'll just set itself on fire. Now, power lines are not coated with, you know, with plastics and stuff like that. They're just bare wires. It'll run them and heat them up. You know, transformers will blow, but the houses is all encased in plastic wiring, NMB, you know, type 12-2 with the ground, NMB, most of them are done with that. And 10-2s and 10-3s and stuff like that for, you know, your 220s and stuff. And then you have your number 4s and your 6s and stuff like that. All of them's coated in plastic. And when that plastic heats up, it's just going to catch on fire and burn. And most people don't realize that's one of the reasons why everything we have is protected by our EMP Shield. And if you're interested in those, we have a link down below. And I'm not trying to sell them here. I mean, you get a discount if you use our code, but I'm just telling you that there's a lot of issues going on in the solar system right now. And if we don't make some sort of preparation, people go, well, what good is it? What difference does it make if we get EMP'd or we have a coronal mass ejection? There's going to be no power afterwards. So what difference? Why would you want a protector for your home? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. First, you don't want your house to burn. Secondly, if they get the power back up and running, and most of your stuff didn't burn in the house and fry, you still got stuff that works. Your washing machines, your refrigerators, all this kind of stuff that was hooked up to the power system, your computers, all this kind of stuff, it still works. And it's not going to be like you can go and you can go get another one at that time, because nothing will be up and running. Yeah, it'll be a skeleton thing sitting here working. And if you're one of the lucky ones to have a little power, then you might work. I mean, there's some issues some technologies that we have out there. Some of our cities have some very sensitive material in them. I'm going to use the word sensitive material. And they have a magnetic field underneath some of those cities. Most people are not even aware of it that live in these cities, that produces a dome over that city that prevents radiation or the coronal mass ejection, anything like that, from penetrating and destroying the technology that's within those cities. This type of stuff is out there, and most people don't even have a clue that it's even there where they live at. They can put domes over things and protect them now. So not everything will go down. That's the reason why you don't want everything you have getting fried. Everybody goes, why you got them on your Rangers? Why you got them on your tractors? Why you got them on your cars and your trucks? You're not going to be able to get out and drive. People will just take you down if you did. It's not about that. It's about if you're out on the road and something happens. Now, where we live at is so rural. When we go to town and back, we might pass 3 vehicles, 4 sometimes, maybe. It's not like our roads are going to be congested. You know, I mean, if something happens and we're in town and something happens and we're able to still drive home while all the other vehicles are shut down, I'm coming home and I'll switch the vehicle off. It ain't going to be cranked back up until some semblance of structure gets back in place. I don't want to have to be my tractor. I want my tractor to still work. Even if that happens and I've got the diesel to run my tractor, I can run out and I can plow a place right quick and we can get some food in the ground, and I don't have to crank it back up again. I can work it by hand after that. But it gives me the opportunity, my Ranger, if a storm comes through and trees fall down across everything, I've still got a Ranger that'll work as long as I have fuel in it and I don't be foolish with it. I can take my tractor and move stuff around as long as I'm not foolish with it. And yes, I know when people hear it running, they'll want to know why. And that'll be a protection issue. That'll be one of them kind of things you'll have to make a decision. What are my limitations? You know, what am I willing to do to protect what I have? These are things that we're just going to face. And people don't want to hear it, and I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to talk about it. But the simple fact is, our nation is soft. And if we have a grid down situation, I'm going to tell you what. I told a man this here a while back. All you've got to do, you don't have to hit the power system. All you got to do is take out the cell phone towers. You take out the cell phone towers today, people will kill each other. Because people are glued to a stupid phone. I don't even own one. I mean, people are glued to a cell phone. Well, I gotta know where somebody's at. Or I might get a text. Guys, I haven't had a phone in a year. Probably longer than that. And now Wanda has one that she uses and does our YouTube stuff with, films with and stuff like that. I don't even own one. I don't want one. And you take the phones out, I'm willing to say 90% of the population will just go nuts. They can't function without it. I told Wanda, I said, I used to travel all over this country. I didn't have a phone with me when I traveled. I just had an atlas map. I looked at the atlas map and I figured my way around everywhere. I didn't have a GPS and it wasn't until later in, oh gosh, probably the mid-90s, I was introduced to a GPS system because of the hunting that I was involved in, where I could sit in the living room of my house on a particular piece of equipment. I'm going to just use that phrase. A particular piece of equipment I had, I was given this software. I could look at anything on the face of in the United States, and I could go right to your yard. I could walk with you through your fields with it. I could, you know, when I was like hunting up in Connecticut or Massachusetts or New York or places up in there where I was hunting, I could call the people and we could walk through their property about where my boundaries were and all that kind of stuff, and I automatically knew before I ever left to go up there to hunt where my limitations was and whose property I was on, and all. I knew that because I could walk through it with this software with them. And that was back in the mid-90s. You can only imagine what it is now. So, guys, we've advanced way beyond a lot of things that we even think we have. But the main thing I want us to understand is, if the grid goes down, are we really prepared? If this balloon that the other day had happened, and an EMP had been on it and it had happened, where would you be today? Would you be surviving? Would you be groveling? Would you be passed away? I mean, stop and think about it. Where would you be if that balloon had EMP'd us, and how would your storage be? How would your prepping system be? How would you be prepared? Are you prepared to meet the Maker? I mean, ask yourself those questions. Where am I at in the scheme of things? And then make a wise decision. So guys, I'm enjoying the sunshine out here today. I got to get up from here and go try to get a few things done while the sun is shining. So I wanted to leave you with that today, talking about the grid down, because it could have happened here 3 times already. And I'm looking for them to actually try something, because the United States has got to be out of the picture for Israel to do what it needs to do. Thank you guys from Deepsouth Homestead.